An interesting debate on the hypothetical question, who will be the next Congress Chief Minister in Kerala, is raging across the state. The whole debate is centered on two names. The current leader of opposition, Mr. V.D. Satheesan, and former leader of opposition, Mr. Ramesh Chennithala. You know, the question was not raised by any Congress leader or even Congress cadres. The issue was actually raised by two caste leaders. SNDP Yogam General Secretary Vellappally Natesan made some explicit references and that contributed to the debate. NSS General Secretary G. Sukumaran Nair indirectly contributed to the debate by inviting Mr. Ramesh Chennithala to Manam Jayanti celebrations. Mr. Ramesh Chennithala was earlier in very good terms with Nair Service Society or NSS, but in the recent years, I mean in the last decade, the relations got soured, and at present the relations were not very good. So the invitation to Manam Jayanti celebrations acquired special significance. But actually there is nothing much to read in this, because last year Mr. Shashi Tharoor was the keynote speaker at Manam Jayanti celebrations. But anyway, currently some people have sparked a debate on this theme. You need to remember that assembly elections are far off. Still there is around 2 years. Now there is no surety that the Congress is going to win the next assembly election. Pinarayi Vijayan has made a historical comeback, or he retained power this time. So is this issue worth discussing? That's a right question. But at the same time, since it involves two prominent castes in Kerala, and these prominent two caste leaders have expressed the same opinion, that made it very interesting. And it also is a pointer to the infight in Congress also. So that is worth discussing. Let's get to the heart of the whole issue. Welcome to Insights. This is Hari Kumar. Now let's start with the current debate. Recently, the General Secretary of SNDP Yogam, which is the organization of the major Hindu caste of Eedava community, said Mr. V.D. Satheesan was an arrogant person. He said Mr. Satheesan never measures his words, and he doesn't have good relations with caste leaders. I think there is a context or a backdrop in the whole issue. Mr. V.D. Satheesan in the past made a reference that he is not the one who goes to and kowtows before each and every caste leader pleading votes or support. Perhaps Mr. Vellappally Natesan was irked by that comment. That could be one reason why he is angry towards Mr. Satheesan. So he didn't mince words when he referred to Satheesan, and he lavished praises on Ramesh Chennithala and said Ramesh Chennithala should have kept good relations with the Nair Service Society. And you know, Mr. Sukumaran Nair, by inviting Mr. Ramesh Chennithala, made it very clear that the difference of the perceived or the reported difference of opinion between the organization and Mr. Ramesh Chennithala has been solved. So the signal was very clear. Now Ramesh Chennithala and other Congress leaders said those two caste leaders have got every right to express their opinion. But I think Congress, KPCC President Mr. K. Sudhakaran and some other Congress leaders said the negative references against Mr. V.D. Satheesan could have been avoided. Mr. Vellappally has not responded to that comment. But the question is, just because Mr. Vellappally and Mr. Sukumaran Nair extended support to Mr. Ramesh Chennithala, will it help him to stage a political comeback? Because you know, The tradition of Kerala is that if a new government comes into power after a general elections, then the leader of opposition will get a natural claim to the post of chief minister. But last time, what happened was Ramesh Chennithala was the leader of opposition, but he couldn't unseat Pinarayi Vijayan government. So what happened is that he could neither become the chief minister and he also lost the post of leader of opposition. Then there is a question as to whether his performance as leader of opposition was good or bad. Actually, Mr. Chennithala's performance was as a leader of opposition was good on many fronts. For example, he brought out or exposed many corruption scams indulged by first Pinarayi government. It's another matter that those issues or disclosures were not enough to unseat Mr. Pinarayi Vijayan. What could be the reason? The reason is that Ramesh Chennithala has been able to create a public opinion, or he controlled the public discourse at some point of time. But at the same time, Mr. Chennithala was not able to win the war of perceptions. If you want to win the perception war, you need to weaponize political opinion. Weaponizing political opinion means you have to convert the public mood to vote. For that, you have to follow up the issue. And not like that you should bring out exposes every day. That's the job of a journalist. If somebody, you or somebody else exposes a corruption or a scam, then you have to take it up and you have to see that the culprit got punished. But unfortunately, Ramesh Chennithala failed in that respect. So that raised several questions as to whether he lacked conviction. That was one issue, I think. Otherwise, his performance was excellent. He brought out or exposed many issues, and all those issues had affected the government. But it didn't affect the government to that extent that Pinarayi lost power. So that was a problem. Now, when compared to Ramesh Chennithala, actually Satishan's performance is not up to the mark. He is not powerful enough. He, as a leader of opposition, he has not been able to shake the government. But he is not a bad leader of opposition at the same time. Then the other question is, the Ramesh Chennithala was the representative or the special representative who oversaw the Maharashtra elections. The failure of Congress in Maharashtra elections actually affected Chennithala's image. So there could be criticisms in the party. I think in the coming days, criticisms could come up. The positive opinion expressed by Mr. Vellappally Natesan and Mr. Sukumaran Nair will help Chennithala to ward off the criticisms from his own party leaders. So that in that way, this could help. But at the same time, you need to remember that just because Mr. Sukumaran Nair praised Mr. Chennithala or Mr. Vellappally Natesan praised Mr. Chennithala, the members, the Nairs and Idavas are not going to vote Chennithala en masse. I don't think not many Nairs or Idavas are going to accept the opinion. I still remember that two incidences I will bring before you. One was Congress leader V.M. Sudhiran was always criticized by Mr. Vellappally Natesan. But at the home turf of Vellappally Natesan, that is Alappuzha Lok Sabha seat, Mr. V.M. Sudhiran used to win several times despite the not so good opinion of Vellappally. But when Vellappally stopped criticisms of Mr. V.M. Sudhiran, actually that election was Sudhiran's Waterloo, and he was defeated by a political greenhorn, Dr. K.S. Manoj. The same has happened to Mr. Sukumaran Nair also, when during the last assembly polls he directly supported candidate, for example, Congress candidate at Konni, Mr. Mohan Raj, then Congress candidate at Vattiyoorkavu Thiruvananthapuram, Mr. Mohan Kumar. Those candidates lost the polls. So those results speak and they testify the fact that just because a caste leader extends support, you are not going to win the poll. But of course, That will help you to control or set a narrative and control public opinion to a certain extent. I think for the time being, this will help Mr. Ramesh Chennithala. But elections are still far away. And Pinarayi Vijayan has got an extraordinary knack to turn the tables on his enemies. And there is another danger also, because the Congress actually is heavily dependent on Muslim League. Just because there is a Hindu consolidation in favor of Chennithala, that could backfire among Muslims also. They may throw their weight behind, possibly behind Satish. That could be a danger. And another factor is that, if the NSS and SNDP leaders come together on a specific issue, and there is some kind of Nair-Izhava unity, Nairs and Izhavas together constitute around 80% of Kerala Hindu population. So if that happens, eventually that could even benefit the BJP also. Finally, if the whole situations could change, and the Hindu consolidation will eventually benefit the BJP. So things could go in any way. Ramesh Chennithala needs to be actually very careful. The current support will help him to tide over the current crisis in his own party or any possible criticisms in the wake of Maharashtra losses. But in the long term, I don't think this will guarantee his return as the topmost leader of Congress in Kerala. That's for now. Meet you with another topic next time. Till then, goodbye.